Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, real good start to the 2026 MLB season for the Baltimore Orioles. We're able to win 2 of the 3 games against the Minnesota Twins. There were times when the Orioles did not look that good, but there were times where they looked pretty good. Way too many strikeouts by the offense. Way too many strikeouts by the offense. Struck out 16 times in game 2. 16! Not good. 8 strikeouts in game 1. Yeah. We'll see how this season unfolds, but some people say that the pitchers are a little bit ahead of the hitters early on in the Major League season. Part of that is because don't pitchers and catchers report sooner? And then the hitters come in after and don't maybe get as much time as some of the pitchers. I wonder if maybe you should change that. That's okay. Keep doing whatever you're doing. As you can see, I'm on mastersports.com. We'll get to game 1. Opening day in Baltimore. Baltimore Orioles 2, Minnesota Twins 1. Low scoring game. Not a whole lot of scoring in the first 6 innings. Actually, no scoring in the first 6 innings. Didn't get the first runs on the board until bottom of the 7th. Taylor Ward leading off most of the time. Does seem that may be the case. We shall see. I think, as much as I've said it over the past years, that I want Gunnar Henderson hitting more in the 3-hole, maybe even the 4-hole, because he is one of your better hitters and you want him driving in runs. He doesn't seem to do too much unless he's batting leadoff. So, with the addition of Alonso, maybe does that replace the need or the want to have Gunnar Henderson hitting 3 or 4 to drive runs in, because that would be Alonso's job. And Pete Alonso, his track record in Major League Baseball is him being able to do that. So you kind of want people to get on in front of Alonso, and you can see right here. Yeah. Nobody got a hit. The first 3 guys did not get a hit in the lineup. Ward playing left field, 0 for 4. Henderson, 0 for 4. 2 strikeouts. Alonso 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, but he walked once. So there's something. Adley Rutschman cleanup duty. Yeah, I would prefer him to be a little bit further down in the lineup. I feel like it would take less pressure off him, both mentally and physically, and you might see some better performances out of him. But then at the same time, who else do you put there? With Westberg and Holiday on the injured list, it's probably Rutschman for now. We'll see moving forward. Rutschman 2 hits and 4 at-bats. Basayo 1 hit and 4 at-bats. Tyler O'Neill hit and a walk. Cowser with an RBI had a sacrifice fly. Bottom of the lineup getting it done. Interesting. Excuse me. Kobe Mayo 0 for, but did work a walk. Blaze Alexander hitting an RBI, driving in O'Neill. Cowser, his sacrifice fly got in Basayo, because Basayo and O'Neill got back-to-back hits there in the 7th, or at least got on back-to-back. O'Neill might have been a walk. No, because Basayo went first to third on that play. And yeah, Basayo's kind of a big dude. I mean, he's young, so legs not as beat up as, let's say, an older guy. So it was somewhat impressive to see him moving from first to third on that hit. It wasn't a huge hit. And again, O'Neill was only able to get to first, so there's that. Maybe he was able to make it to third because in his mind, when he was trucking around second base, he was going to third. But the fielder was like, oh, Basayo ain't going to third, and he took advantage of that there. May not be able to do that too many more times. Somewhat surprised to see Alexander all the way at the bottom of the order, but I've said this multiple times. Tough decisions now for Mike Elias and the rest of the staff there. 4 or 5 years ago, some of these decisions were just easier. Some guys were like, okay, you're either going to make the team or not, depending on the person. Like, oh, it's an easy decision. Where to bat this guy? That's easier decision. You look at some of the guys that got in there now. A little harder. Rutschman with the only extra base hit. Double. Yeah. Again, we'll see. Rutschman has been dealing with some injuries as part of that because he's been doing a lot of catching. Yeah. Yeah, as a catcher, you're going to get beaten up back there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is why, to a certain extent, they do want to DH him a little bit more. Now, with Basayo, maybe that's an upgrade at the catching spot over who've been some of the backups. Robinson Chirinos, Maverick Hanley. Can't think of some of the other guys. Wellington Castillo. Was he on the team with Rutschman, though? Can't remember. Was it a little bit of an upgrade there? Because he's been in the organization a while. He knows some of the pitchers. And he can, what's the word I think they were using this? He can defend himself at the plate. So he's not incompetent at the plate. Where, yeah, all right, tough to say that about like somebody like a Maverick Hanley, but it's just not putting up the same offensive numbers as Basayo. That RBI by Alexander was with 2 outs. He loves seeing that. Got to come through in the clutch if you want to win. Stolen base by Mayo. Holy shit. All right. Show it off the wheels. Error by O'Neill. Yeah. He was charging in. It was more towards the foul line, and then essentially he overran it. It was more of one of those triangle balls where second baseman, first baseman, and right fielder are going out. Not only as a right fielder, what you got to charge the ball, then you got to call off the fielders, you got to make sure you don't crash into them, and then you also got to catch the ball. It overran it a tick, and it bounced off the heel of his glove. Though, we'll say he does make up for it later in the series, throwing out Buxton at second base. Yeah. Trevor Rogers getting a start here. We mentioned that, or I mentioned, everybody was mentioning that. Trevor Rogers got the job for his opening day starter over Bradish. I think a lot of people would have liked to see Bradish out there, though he didn't do too well game 2. So maybe this was the right choice. 7 innings pitched by Trevor Rogers, only giving up 3 hits. You love seeing that. You don't like seeing him give up 4 walks, but whip is only 1. That you'll live with that. No earned runs or any runs to speak of. 5 strikeouts. Let's see, is it Trevor, Tyler, or Taylor, or Tanner? Tyler Wells. There's too many names that sound too damn similar on his team. Too many. Maybe it's just me and I'm just terrible with names. I think that might just be it. I need to try harder. Tyler Wells getting the first opportunity in the leverage inning this season. Helsley obviously was going to get the closer job. Who's going to be your primary setup man with Kittredge on the injured list? Kittredge probably. I mean, I don't think it's up for debate. If Kittredge is healthy, Kittredge comes in here. Well, Kittredge's injured. Who gets it? Between Wells, Cano, Rico Garcia, Tyler Wells gets the opportunity. Surrenders the only run. Disappointing. 1 full inning pitched by Wells. Does give up a hit and the run. Earned run. No walks, 1 strikeout. Got the job done. Disappointing that it couldn't have been stacking zeros. Maybe not an 8th inning guy right now. It sucks not having Kittredge because Kittredge would be your main 8th inning guy. Again, with him on the injured list, who's the primary guy now? We'll see about Cano or Rico Garcia if they get any chances in the 8th inning and see how they do. Tyler Wells scuffling a little bit in his setup man role. Helsley not really scuffling that much. Yeah, he does give up the hit. He pitching the full 9th inning here, but no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. Yeah, ramping them numbers up there, 102. Woo! As long as he can keep this arm healthy all year, it's, yeah. All right. Worth the price. Some people are saying, oh, he didn't perform as well as the Met because he was tipping pitches. We'll see if that is the case. Supposedly he made an adjustment where bringing his glove, when he comes to his set position, bringing the glove closer to his body. Not leaving any room in there to sneak a look in there and see what pitch he's throwing. We'll see if this works. Come to game 2 here. Not good game by the Orioles. Though the temperature had dropped significantly, maybe you can argue that that was part of the problem. It's relatively warm opening day, and then relatively cold Saturday. Minnesota Twins 4, Baltimore Orioles 1. Ugh. And again, not much production from the top of the order, which is not great. Though Taylor Ward, 0 for 3, but 2 walks in there. So you'll take that from your leadoff man. You absolutely take that. 2 strikeouts by him. Gunnar Henderson 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Excuse me. Pete Alonso gets his first hit as a Baltimore Oriole. Just the one, just the single. Struck out twice. Oh, I wanted to talk about the strikeout. 8 strikeouts in game 1. That's a lot. Yeah, because it's going to come into play in this game. You're going to see some of them numbers. Rutschman 0 for, but he walked twice. So, seems to start the year, we have the good Adley Rutschman at the plate, even though he's catching. Typically, they say, when he DHs, he actually hits a little better because he only has to concentrate on DHing and not on catching. Well, some of that may have been due to health concerns last year and maybe the year before. We'll see moving forward. It's still early in the year. Basayo DHing is somewhat of a concern to have both your catchers in the lineup at the same time, which is why I suggested keeping Alex Jackson and him making the roster and carrying 3 catchers. Because you can play Basayo at DH, at catcher, at first base. Hell, you can do the same with Rutschman, but then you would need a 3rd catcher. Well, that's kind of the disappointing thing with having Mountcastle still around. He's really... Yes, there is some use to Mountcastle, but I think having a 3rd catching option would be more value to the Orioles right now anyway. We'll see. Dylan Beavers getting the start in right field. 0 for. Disappointing. Tyler O'Neill coming in to pinch hit later. Lefty-righty matchup there. Yeah, more of that stuff. That's great. That's alright. It didn't work, so, however. Alright, I gotta open this can because I forgot before the video. So, apologize for this if it even does anything for you. I see the spikeage down here in my OBS, so I don't know exactly how it's coming through for you guys. Just not a lot of offense this game. Trying to get something going here, I guess. Putting O'Neill in there. O'Neill did eventually get going, and so did Beavers. O'Neill 0 for in his only 2 at-bats. Kobe Mayo 0 for 3. Did walk once. You like seeing that. Being a little bit more patient at the plate. Cowser with a hit. Okay, cool. A little different because I think at some point over the past 2-3 years, Cowser was a little bit higher in the lineup. It's not going to be the case anymore. Now if Ward gets going, you got Alonso. If Rutschman and Basayo and Beavers and O'Neill stay in the lineup, you're going to have Jackson Holiday coming back soon. Cowser's going to be a little further down in the lineup. I feel that better suits him. We may actually see more offensive production out of Colton Cowser. Mountcastle pinch hits late for Cowser. Lefty-righty thing, again, trying to do something. Mountcastle does come through and get a base hit. I feel like that's really where that's Mountcastle's role now. Pinch hitting for somebody, maybe playing first base every once in a while. It was essentially allow either Basayo or Rutschman to have a day off, because then you DH Alonso, and then you can, You start, what did they do game 3? They started Basayo behind the plate, And that allows you to give Rutschman a day off, of course, until you want to, pinch hit Rutschman. Almost like you could benefit from 3 catchers. But you got what you got. You couldn't move him. You couldn't move Mountcastle for anybody that could do any catching, which kind of disappointing. But again, I liked Alex Jackson. I didn't want Alex Jackson to leave. I feel like everybody knows what Mountcastle is going to be now. He's almost 30. But however, did do a little bit for the Orioles in this series. Leody Taveras, because obviously Ryan Mountcastle ain't going out there and play center field. It'd be nice if he could, but he can't. He could probably play third base in a pinch. Again, as I mentioned, he came up as a shortstop. Somewhat surprised that he didn't get any play at third base. Could potentially be a better option than Mayo, though. Mayo being younger, you want to develop Mayo. Again, we know what Mountcastle is going to do. And we're not that impressed so far. Disappointing. But I think maybe them moving the wall and left field around kind of got to him mentally. And he maybe have changed some of his swing habits and just hasn't really worked out for him. And then he started getting injured with the vertigo and a hamstring and a wrist issue. So kind of hampered him. Leody Taveras did get in at bat. One at bat, struck out. Though I think we're seeing Leody Taveras' role too. He's not getting much playing time. So more on that in a bit. Jeremiah Jackson getting the starting duties at second base is over Blaze Alexander. Everybody's thinking, oh, well, with Jackson Holiday out, we're going to see Blaze Alexander at second base a lot. Or maybe you see Blaze at third and Jeremiah Jackson at second. Or maybe you see Jeremiah Jackson at third base. You definitely want to see Jeremiah Jackson play somewhere because he has been hitting. He's been hitting. He was hitting last year when he came up. Playing defense was a little rocky. But he was hitting, and he's continuing that. He's got 2 hits in this game with an RBI. Driving in the only run. Good for him. Cowser, the only extra base hit, double. Still no home runs yet. Disappointing. Oh well. Henderson stole the base. Rutschman with a throwing error. Yeah, trying to backpick Brian Buxton. Or Brian... Yeah, Buxton. Brian Buxton. Yes. Make sure I'm pronouncing the man's name right. Ugh, okay, come on. Let's go, Internet. Stupid. Yeah, Buxton was on second base. He's trying to throw a back pick there, and Doinkson off him. Buxton allowed it to move up. So that's why there's an error. It's not necessarily an error just by hitting the runner, but because it allowed it to get the ball to get away from the fielder and the runner to move up, that's what really makes it an error. That's why you can see Bradish, he has 3 runs, but only 2 earned runs. Kyle Bradish only able to go 4 2/3 of an inning. He's 83 pitches. Yeah, disappointing. Would have liked to see Kyle Bradish go a little bit longer than that, but I mean, he only gave up 2 hits. Yeah, he gave up the 3 runs, but only 2 earned runs. Only walked 3. That's not terrible. Struck out 4. Excuse me. I think some of it has to do with him coming off the injury. Yeah, he did come off the injury at the end of last year, but he only had a few starts. So he's not... We're all thinking that he's not quite fully built up to 100%. So, didn't want to... I guess, otherwise, it's not a bad line. It's not a bad line. He could have gotten through. Well, it's not necessarily true. There was a noticeable dip in the velocity. Now, did that have to do with, again, because he may not be fully back from his injury. He may be like 90% back from the injury. Is that why the velocity dipped? Was it because it was cold? Was it because it was so early in the year? Instead of being a little bit further along in the year. Would he be a little bit more stretched out, a little bit more ready to go in game shape? So, to be perfectly, if there wasn't that dip in velocity, they probably don't take him out. I think it was, he's at 83, dip in the velocity. yeah, it's probably a good time to take him out. That's what they did. Brought in Yennier Cano. Yeah, gave up the hit. Sure, yeah. But then he did get the out. Which is disappointing, but oh well. But he got out of it. You come in with man on, it's a little bit harder to get out of a situation than you come in with nobody on. Dietrich ends. I think seeing the writing on the wall, you knew this was a game where your opponents have 3 runs and you got nothing. Can't get nothing going. Not using some of your bigger arms. You're not going to use Rico Garcia. You think he's a little bit ahead of ends. So you're not going to use Cano for any longer than that. You have Dietrich ends out there. You're pushing him a little bit more than maybe you would like to. I don't know. 33 pitches in an inning and 2/3 is really the right length for Dietrich ends. I mean, with an 8-man bullpen. Yeah, I don't know about that one. But however, you maybe save some better bullets for a game where your offense looks like they're going to go out there and do something. Maybe that might have something to do with it. So in his inning and 2/3 ends with 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. I just don't think you really want ends going out there and throwing 33 pitches like that. Because how long until he's available again? Because he sure wasn't going to be available for you Sunday's game. That's one of your 2 lefties out there. Yeah, I don't know that was necessarily the right move. Yarmil Geraldo having a decent outing this time. I definitely look at Geraldo and see he should be lower in the pecking order than I feel like this organization thinks he is. Only pitching a 3rd inning here, getting out of the 7th inning, or finishing off the 7th inning with a strikeout. Good job. Congratulations. I'm getting there. I'm getting at game 3. I wouldn't have done that at all. He doesn't even make the team as far as I'm concerned, but with Kittredge and Aiken on the injured list, gotta have somebody in there. Anthony Nunez is, he's an interesting story. He's only been pitching for like 2-3 years. In college, he was playing 3rd base. They were clocking him on a radar gun, throwing hundreds of miles an hour over to first base, and they're like, hey, maybe you should try pitching. Yeah. I mean, just throw 100 miles an hour in the strike zone and then tandem that with a changeup. Right? Keep hitters off balance. Could be something there. So, later on in college, he actually did play 2 ways. He pitched some and played the field. And the Mets had him in their organization. Traded him to the Orioles in the Cedric Mullins trade. So, disappointing that Mullins isn't around anymore. Would definitely have liked to have seen that. He's definitely a good defender out there in center field, and now it does kind of look like the Orioles are struggling for a good defensive center fielder. We'll see, but Nunez definitely impressed in his debut, pitching 2 full innings, the 8th and the 9th. No hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Yeah, why is Yarmil Geraldo above this guy, Nunez? Doesn't look like it, do it? No. Because apparently how it went is Geraldo's taking Kittredge's spot, and Nunez only made the roster because Aiken wasn't able to. Now we'll see when there's a book on Nunez. Again, he hasn't pitched much. As he throws more and more innings, his opponents will understand his tendencies a little bit better. Maybe they'll fare a little bit better against him. We'll see. But so far, that's pretty good. Early in the year like this, maybe you can argue again. Sometimes pitchers are ahead of hitters in most cases. That has something to do with it. But it's an interesting guy to be keeping our eyes on throughout the year. All right, let's get to game 3. Final game of this opening series. Baltimore Orioles 8, Minnesota Twins 6. A lot more offenses. Yeah, a lot more offense. Taylor Ward, lead off again. Hitting a walk. Henderson finally doing something. Hitting a walk here. Alonso 2 hits, an RBI, and a walk. Mountcastle. Excuse me. Again, as I mentioned about Ryan Mountcastle and his role. Alonso DHing, Mountcastle at first, Basayo gets to start at catcher. So Mountcastle in there in the 4-hole, which doesn't make sense. Look, if Mountcastle's a dude that you're having trouble finding a position for him to place to get him in the lineup, why would he be in the cleanup? He's not going to be one of your regular dudes. And that was obvious. Why isn't he further down in the lineup? That's odd. You're going to platoon your cleanup hitter? Okay. Hi, everybody. 0 for 3. Adley Rutschman pinch hitting late, hitting an RBI. Sammy Basayo again starts at catcher, then goes to first base because Rutschman comes in for Mountcastle and goes to catcher. Honestly, you could have had Rutschman play first base. We've seen Adley Rutschman play first base. Is Basayo better? I think probably, yeah. I think Basayo definitely has more experience at first base, and Rutschman obviously has more experience at catcher. But at the same time, wouldn't you like Basayo to get more experience at catcher? And wouldn't you like Rutschman to get a little bit more experience at first base and also save the knees? Just a thought. Just a thought. Tyler O'Neill still in there. 6th spot. That's his spot. You're not going to move him up to clean up? I think personally, I would have switched Mountcastle and O'Neill. I would have had O'Neill as my 4-hole hitter. I understand that maybe he's not really the kind of guy you want there, especially because he can't stay in the lineup. At least from what we've seen as Baltimore Orioles organization. We haven't, what did we see Tyler O'Neill play, 40 games last year? But get Mountcastle, he's going to be in there, every 3rd or 4th game? Why would he be your cleanup guy? O'Neill's going to be in there at least 3 out of every 4 games. Why would O'Neill not be your secondary cleanup guy over Mountcastle? Whatever, y'all. Hit 3 RBIs and a walk. Yeah. When the dude's healthy, the dude mashes. Okay? That's also why I'm saying he should be a cleanup spot. If he can stay healthy, knocking on wood here, he's going to mash. Cleanup guy. Duh. Kobe Mayo in there, still playing third base, doing a fairly good job. You know, he's not Brooks Robinson over there, but he's not, not last year, the year before last. So 2024, when we saw him play third base, he looked awful. He really did. But this year, he looks a lot better. He really does. I don't know if it's just a change in the coaching staff. It's the growth, the experience. What is it? But he's taking some, taking some wicked shots down there at third base. Yeah. Well, Craig Alvarez definitely sounds like a New Englander. So we'll say it that way. Started a few double plays and started them pretty well. So maybe we see Kobe Mayo turn a corner defensively. Maybe. Okay. Especially, that's a good thing if Jordan Westburg can't stay healthy either. Mayo 2 hits and an RBI. All right. See some offensive production out of you, Kobe Mayo. Like that. Dylan Beavers getting the start in center field. Can't have Colton Cowser play center field 162 games out of the year. It just ain't going to happen. Now, Leody Taveras did make the team, but you can see how he is being used. He's gotten 1 at bat in the 3 games. So, feel that Beavers probably does have the speed. Does he have the experience to play center field? No, not necessarily. No, but how does he get the experience playing center field? By playing center field. You don't get experience playing center field by playing left field or right field or not playing at all. You got to play center field. And yes, it did kind of bite him in the ass because he definitely lost the ball in the sun. Now, they didn't give him an error, which I always thought that if the ball that really looks like a routine fly ball, okay, you lose it in the sun. That's still an error, right? Apparently not. Luckily it didn't hit him. Because he was definitely getting confused. I don't think he signaled well enough to, let's say, Tyler O'Neill, because it was hit a little bit more towards right field. I don't think he signaled well enough to Tyler O'Neill that he couldn't see the ball. I think a lot of us kind of knew what was happening, but there was almost a sense of panic in the movements out there, which you can understand. Because there's a ball in the air. It's coming down in the outfield somewhere. And you don't know where. So, is there a bit of panic setting in there for Dylan Beavers? I'm sure there was. It absolutely looked like there was. You would like him to maybe... Now, we would have to ask Tyler O'Neill, right? When you saw Beavers flapping his arms around like that, what were you thinking? Did you understand that he needed some help out there? Not saying that Tyler O'Neill should have been over there. It wasn't that far into right center. It really wasn't. I don't think Tyler O'Neill was really in any position to get over there and catch the ball. Get over there, maybe field the ball, because where's it going to bounce? We have no idea when it's up there. Thankfully, it didn't land that far away from Dylan Beavers. Thankfully, it didn't hit him either. Maybe 5-10 feet away from Dylan Beavers, so he was able to retrieve the ball relatively quickly. But yeah, center field, it doesn't look too great. Colt Kaiser, I think, looks fine out there, but you need somebody else on this roster that can play center field. Maybe, potentially, when you get Jackson Holliday back, Blaze Alexander is an option for center field. He has played center field in the past. So that may be what the Orioles do. We'll have to see moving forward. But Tavares coming in for a defensive replacement late in the game. No at-bats received. Telling you something right there. Jeremiah Jackson, another hit for him. Blaze Alexander. More coming in for a defensive replacement in the 7th inning. Just because we definitely think, out of all the guys we got in the infield out there, Jeremiah Jackson is the least good. Has the least defensive capability. Words. So you put Blaze Alexander. You're winning here. You're winning. You want to keep the lead. You put your better defenders out there. Your offense came through. They got the runs. Let's get the better defense out there and hold the lead. Blaze Alexander does get a hit in his only at-bat. Yeah, pinch hitting's coming through here. I mean, Rutschman with a pinch hit there. What's his name? Mountcastle had a pinch hit the other game. Blaze Alexander here with a pinch hit. All right, so that seems those decisions, those button pushing by a manager. You know the saying, manager is pushing all the right buttons. From the offensive side, seems like he's got it. From the pitching side, I don't know about that one. Maybe something that he needs to work on. And I'm getting to it. Doubles by Rutschman, Mayo, and Beavers. Home runs by O'Neill. 2-out RBI for Beavers, 2 of them. That double that he hit, drove in 2. 2 outs. Caught stealing. Blaze Alexander, Gunnar Henderson. Also a picked off for Gunnar Henderson. Yeah, and a fielding error by Gunnar Henderson. Man, the infielders did not have a good night, is they? Yeah. Now that ball that Henderson didn't field right, it was up the middle. Was Henderson playing up the middle-ish? A little bit-ish. He was definitely, what's the word? He definitely hedged on whether to stay back and play it on the top or charge the ball, and it kind of ate him up. didn't turn out to be that detrimental, but you never want to see that from your starting shortstop. Get the ball, dude. Get the ball. As many problems as I have with your throwing, because you don't want to plant your feet and throw. You want to throw and run like you're an option quarterback, except this is baseball. And you have an inaccurate throws like you did in the World Baseball Classic. Oh, maybe that's why you didn't get as much playing time. They didn't like your defense because you wouldn't plant your feet. The only thing I could think of. Because for sure, fielding, Gunnar Henderson can play third base. He can play shortstop. For sure. When he's not making dumb mistakes like this. And he can hit. He hit in the World Baseball Classic. He's not hitting too much here yet. But some other people that got the starting job may not have been hitting in the World Baseball Classic. And they lost that game by 1. Huh. Okay. Shane Baz gets the start in this game, fresh off an extension. So, yeah, they trade for Baz, give up a decent prospect haul, and now have him under control until 2030. All right. Only able to go 5 1/3 of an inning, 78 pitches. Somewhat surprised they didn't stretch him out a little bit longer, but it's fine. It's fine. You had that part of the order coming up, and you wanted Wolfram in there because you thought he matched up well. Excuse me. I feel like what 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like Albernaz was 3 for 6 in this and picking the right pitchers to come in. So yeah, or maybe 2 for 6, 4 for 6. I'm sorry, because I think Wolfram was a good choice. Rico Garcia was a good choice. Cano ended up being a good choice. Hell's a good choice as well. So 4 for 6. Some of the other guys, I'm looking at them like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Though I think Wells was a good choice. It did not work out well. And anyway, back to Baz. 5 1/3 of an inning. Again, only 78 pitches, which is relatively low. But again, start of the year, maybe you're thinking people just aren't fully stretched out. Giving up 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned. No walks. Well, you like to see that. That's good. 4 strikeouts. Not a bad outing. Really not a bad outing. And honestly, this is actually a little bit better because the Twins ran themselves out of a few outs. Buxton hit, where did he hit the ball? He hit the ball. It was another corner, it's not necessarily a corner shot, but another triangle shot between the right fielder, the second baseman, and the first baseman up the right field line a bit. This one clearly dropped, but O'Neill, not giving up on the play, snatches the ball off a bounce or two, fires it in second base. Buxton rounding second base like he didn't expect anybody to be close to the ball or have any kind of arm to throw it to second base. He obviously doesn't know who Tyler O'Neill is, because there's Buxton rounding the second base. Maybe he's 3-4 feet off of second base. And here's Gunnar Henderson with the ball in the glove in between Buxton and second base. Like, what you doing rounding the base that far, dude? I don't know. All right. However, there's also a point early where, who was it that had the bases clearing double? I want to say it was this Gray. It was basically, actually, I can come in here and look at it better, see who exactly it was that hit the ball. It's the second inning. Second inning, and then it was, yes, Tristan Gray. Doubles, tagged out at third. Dylan Beavers to Jeremiah Jackson to Kobe Mayo, because he thought he could stretch a double into a triple. Literally, you just had a bases clearing double. Why are you even trying to stretch it in there? Why you are, I don't know. But there was an out there, and another time on the base path, Mr. Josh Bell. He's on second base. a ball hit to, was it Henderson? And he's trying to move up on a ball that's hit at him or in front of him. Typically, when you're at second base, you only want to move up on a ball hit behind you, as in behind the way you are going. You don't want to move up on a ball hit to the third baseman or a shortstop because the play's right there on their side, right in front of him. He's trying to move up. There was a challenge, and they did. Well, no, there wasn't a challenge because the umpire ruled him out of the baseline. Technically, Bell was not out of the true baseline, as in the base-to-base line, but from where he started running to third base, he was out of that line. Now, what's the rule? Out of your personally made baseline or out of the true baseline? Umpire ruled him out of the baseline, so now, because that was Kobe Mayo getting a tag and then throwing it first, getting a double play there. So that got some help defensively, or this could have been worse. I know that took me a while to come up with, but yeah, I'm saying because the Twins ran themselves out of some innings, these numbers could have been worse. But it's early. Hopefully, Boz does a little better. Grant Wolfram in here for to pitch a full inning, 3 outs, but finishing off the 6th inning and then 1 out into the 7th inning. Does give up a hit, but no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Okay, way to come through for you, Grant Wolfram. But here comes Geraldo, and at this point, it's the 7th inning with 1 out. You're winning 5-4. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to Geraldo. Okay? Look, he only made the team because of some injuries. He's the guy you go to here in the 7th inning? Rico Garcia has yet to pitch this series. Why didn't you go to Garcia in the first place? Why didn't you go to Wells? Why didn't you go to Cano? You went to Yarmil Geraldo. The dude that only made the team because of injuries. And as of now, as far as I'm concerned, because of the performance of Anthony Nunez, and we'll see how Nunez performs in his next few outings, but as far as I'm concerned, Yarmil Geraldo is the first guy out the door. He's not going to be the guy coming in 7th inning with a 1-run lead. When Garcia is fresh, when Wells is fresh, when Cano's fresh. Hell, when Halsey's fresh. Geraldo here? Get the hell out of here. Well, pitch you in the ass, didn't it? Geraldo only able to get 1 out, not before giving up 1 hit, 1 run, 3 walks, and a strikeout. I don't know why they like Geraldo. Look, I'm not saying that he's some bum and he can't pitch at all. He's in the major leagues. He can pitch probably better than I can, most likely. Probably 99.9%. That he could pitch better than I mean, I never got an opportunity. There's probably a reason for that. You went to Yarmil Geraldo here? Again, Rico Garcia hasn't gotten into a game yet. I get why you went with Wolfram here because the lefty thing. You only had, of course, at the same time, you only had 1 lefty available. Because I don't think Enns was available in this game. So maybe you shouldn't have gone to Wolfram that early because you use him and then you don't have a lefty to go to. Whatever. You went to Geraldo, it bit you in the ass. Now the bases are loaded. You bring in Rico Garcia. And you know what? I'm sorry, Rico Garcia. Your name is no longer Rico Garcia. No longer. Your name is Rico Houdini. The Houdini act that you pull every time we throw you out there with a bases loaded. With the bases, and you get out of it, you're not Rico Garcia. You can't be. You got to put Houdini on the back of his jersey because that's what he is. He got out of another bases loaded, another one. How many times? I swear to shit, he did it 3 or 4 times last year. And the Yankees and Mets cut this guy. Huh? What? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know why? I don't get why he wasn't the option before. But before Geraldo, what? This is Craig Albernaz's first 3 games in professional baseball being the head guy in charge out there when the game's on. Can cut him a little slack. He's going to have to learn. He especially needs to learn his bullpen because that's the most important decision. Pinch hitting, yes, it's important. Which bullpen arm to bring in at which time, that's the most important decisions that a manager has to make. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not. But there are some choices that are just easier than others. Let's see. I got Geraldo. I got Rico Garcia or Cano or Wells. Well, it's not going to be Geraldo. Of course, I said, I'd have put Tyler Wells in there because Tyler Wells did so much better out of the bullpen. Sorry, I had lasagna for lunch, so the acid reflux acting up a little bit. Yeah, Tyler Wells. He has had more success out of the bullpen than this. Why is he struggling his first few opportunities this season? Don't really know. Is he too stretched out to have enough gas for an inning or two? Possibly. That may be what it is. Maybe he's just so used to being the starting pitcher for the past 2-3 years and getting his arm ready to do that, that's struggling to get it ready for an inning or so. It's possible being a starting pitcher and being a relief pitcher. One of the other main differences other than is obviously a starter is expected to go 5, 6, 7 innings where a relief pitcher is 1, maybe 2. Time to warm up your arm. More often than not, 99% of the cases, starting pitchers need more time to warm their arms up. Was Tyler Wells afforded the opportunity to completely warm up his arm? Did he even know how long he needs? Something that you only learn by doing sometimes, because otherwise, how otherwise would you know how many pitches you need to warm your arm up? For a 1 inning span over a 6 innings, it's different. Wells only able to get 2 outs in the 8th inning, giving up the 2 hits, the 1 run, the 2 walks. Does strike out 2. So the stuff is there. It's there, but it's just, what is it that isn't there, allowing him to and Yennier Cano coming in to save the day. Got to save the day here. He does it with a strikeout. Only gets 1 out, so 1/3 of an inning. The last out of the 8th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Very good for him. I think I have this play-by-play here. Yeah, I was going to use this to talk about. Talking about Geraldo. And you can see here, Blaze Alexander replacing Jeremiah Jackson, and that happened at the inning. And not as a pinch hitter. You didn't really necessarily pinch hit Blaze Alexander for Jeremiah Jackson. It was a defensive replacement. You see Wolfram gets a strikeout, and then you bring in Geraldo. Now, something to realize about this website here and what they're doing. You see how the little bubbles are filled in? As in 2 balls, 3 strikes. And that was the result of the at-bat, a strikeout. You see how there's nothing in here? You bring Geraldo in, bam, home run. 1 pitch gives up the lead. Yeah. And then he gets a strikeout. And then he proceeds to walk the next 3 hitters while only throwing 3 strikes. I don't know. I guess they see at bats like this. Of course, this is a guy, Tristan Gray. He doesn't hit at the top of a lineup. He hits at the bottom of the lineup. And there's a reason for that. Okay? There's a reason for that. So maybe that's what that is. Maybe that's what you're looking at. You're not judging Geraldo's performance on the strength of the opponent. Okay. Okay. Because here you go, bases loaded. Here comes Garcia. Yeah, no, got a full count here. Got a full count. So you're giving everybody a heart attack, but you get out of it. Does it still show the... Yeah, I can still see the pitch sequence. Strike swinging on a four-seamer. Wow, this one was... Can I click on this? Okay, yeah. Top of the... I mean, it was relatively close. The second pitch here, relatively close to being a strike. You see, 3 was a strike. 6 and then 5 foul balls. So there's that. 4 below, 7 and 2 and 8. 4 seam. Where was 8? I didn't see 8 on that. Oh, 8 right here. Okay. Outside, dotting the outside of the zone. Good. It's good to know I can still look at that and show pitch location, general pitch location. Not going to be like an exact thing there, but. And Helsley, continuing to talk about the game here. Whew, a little bit of a drama here. I can go back to this here. I'm wondering, does it talk about... It doesn't talk about the challenging. Because there were several challenges here, and it doesn't appear that they have noted that anywhere. We'll see if I can find somewhere and I can look at that and see. But I don't know. So Helsley allows the first guy on. It's only a 2-run game, thanks for some of the other guys in the bullpen not being able to close the door. You get one guy on a line out, Josh Bell here. This is where there was some drama. There was, got to 3-0 pitch here. And then what was it? It was this 4th pitch here that was called a ball. Rutschman challenges it. Obviously, we can see here by the zone. I think it was a little bit more out of the zones. That's why I'm saying this isn't exactly 100% accurate. But it was called a ball. Rutschman challenges. So you get that overturned. So you get to strike. Then you see 5 here. The 5th pitch was a strike. Where did you go? You completely collapsed. It's a foul ball. Then this 6th pitch here. That's where all the drama was. All hell broke loose. You thought all hell broke loose. Derek Skelton, the Twins manager, gets thrown out on this because the 6th pitch, yes, it touches the box. And it touched the box according to the ABS system, or whatever exactly they're calling it. Yeah, ABS, that's what they are calling it. Now, did Helsley, because it wasn't Rutschman that challenged, it was Helsley that challenged, did he challenge in time? I say he did. I mean, he did. You look at the video, you got to think he's out there on the mound. He's got to hear the call. He's got to hear the call. You can't just challenge the pitch without knowing what the umpire called. So there is a little bit of delay there, but he points to it like this, like he does, instead of doing this, because that's what they want players to do, as far as what I understand. Tap the top of the head like this instead of pointing to it like this, because which is easier to notice. But Helsley did that really quickly. I mean, he did it twice because he didn't think they saw him the first time. But the cameras saw it. So, is that something that you can replay? Can you challenge that? How quickly a hitter or a pitcher or a catcher challenges a play? I don't know if that's reviewable. Maybe that'll be it. But, yeah. Some people thought it was delayed. And, yeah, Skelton gets thrown out of the game because he was arguing, supposedly, that it was too late. He challenged too late. Of course, you look at it, and you looked at it on the ABS, it was a strike anyway, so what the fuck are you arguing about? Okay, fine, it didn't go your way. But you know what? The ball was in the box. Regardless of whether it goes your way this time or not. You can't call those balls anymore. You cannot do this. It is 2026, and we have the technology to get the call right with the strike zone because it's there. It's invisible to the naked eye, but it's there. It's there, and so far, we're seeing it work out fairly well. So far. It's young in the season. We'll see how this challenge system goes. I like it so far. I think it's fine. Yeah, look, you get see some guys. Basayo used one at the plate to challenge it, and it didn't go well for him. He thought it was a ball. It was a strike. It caught the zone. Does that do something for you there? Make you think about it. But for the most part, the Orioles are doing a good job in their challenges. You see, they got two of them here. And there's one at bat. Yeah. Okay, sure. There will be some strikeouts that'll be walks. There will be some walks that'll be strikeouts. But you know what? Balls in the box will be called strikes more often. And balls outside of the box will be called balls more often. Right? Right? Isn't that what we want? Do we really want to see guys strike out on a ball that was outside the zone? No, I don't want to see that. Do we want to see guys striking out on a... Wait, did I just say that? Do we want to see pitchers throw a strike and it get called a ball and then guy goes down to first base? We don't want to see that either. It doesn't really matter what team you're rooting for. You want to see the correct call. You don't want to lose on a blown call. You don't really want to lose, but you know what? You'd rather lose on a correct call than an incorrect call, right? Yeah. So far, I do think the ABS challenge system is going okay. Again, I mentioned Helsley did give up the hit, but no runs, no walks, one strikeout. Yeah, so far he's impressed. So far he is impressed. I think he, at the very least, he's as good as Batista when Batista is fully healthy. At the very least. I think the more and more we'll see him, the more and more we might say, oh, he's absolutely better than Batista. We'll see. They did add I want to say they added a splitter to him. Coming over, they added a splitter to his repertoire. So maybe we will see that he's much better than Felix Batista. We'll see how long he stays here. So supposedly some player options in the contract, so disappointing. All right, let's go on with the show. Let's get to a few articles, talk about a few things here, and we'll get out of here because got a game coming up real soon. Update a little bit of updates, not huge updates, on Keegan Aiken and Jackson Holliday. Jackson Holliday, it did start a rehab assignment with Norfolk when they started their season. So he's played a few games down there for them as he's rehabbing, coming from the hamate bone injury. He shouldn't be too far away. He really shouldn't. Will we see him in this Texas Rangers series? Probably not. Will we see him in the third series of the year? I think yes. And I have some tough decisions because who do you send away? Jeremiah Jackson's hitting. You don't want to send him away. Okay, you bring in Jackson Holliday. He plays second base. Then between third base, you got Kobe Mayo, Jeremiah Jackson, and Blaze Alexander. Like, you got to send somebody away, right? Now you got Leody Taveras out there as your fifth outfielder. He's not getting much playing time. He's not. Is he the guy who gets sent away? And then therefore, Blaze Alexander could become your backup center fielder. He is the utility guy. They brought him here as the utility guy, not a starter. Could he get some reps at center field, second base, shortstop, third base, one start a week? Sure. I think that is perfectly reasonable to think that that could happen. And yes, I think that it would be good for Gunnar Henderson. He does not need to play 162 games at shortstop. He doesn't. I don't know. Look, nobody's going to be playing 2,000 consecutive straight games. There's no reason for these assholes to play 162 games. There's no reason. better to get him a break, physically rest their bodies, is really what I'm talking about. Aiken's a little bit further away. Retroactive of last Sunday. So he's only been on the injured list for 8 days? He's got to be on there a minimum of, I want to say 10. Was he on the 10-day list or the 15-day? I think he was actually on the 15-day disabled list. I'm sorry, not disabled list, injury list. They changed it a few years ago. I don't know why. However. So definitely, I would say about a week before we see Keegan Aiken. Now, is he going to need a rehab assignment? I would say he's probably going to need a rehab assignment. Just because of the way, of the leg muscle that it was. You use your legs to push off. So I think Keegan Aiken's going to need a rehab assignment. So even if he's just physically getting back to being healthy, even in the next 2 or 3 days, he'll probably spend a week in AAA rehabbing. So it's probably a week away. News here. Oh, I'm sorry. This article, courtesy of Rock Kabatko. This article here, courtesy of the Masson staff, talking about an acquisition. Orioles acquiring Jonathan Rodriguez for pitcher Carter Rustad. Trading a relief pitcher, or trading a pitcher away to the Guardians for an outfielder. Somewhat surprising. I don't know that the Orioles really need one, unless he's a center fielder. Jonathan Rodriguez he does have experience playing center field in the minor leagues. Only a few times. Not like 100 times a year. A couple times in a year. But I don't think they need a corner outfielder. No. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you're trading a pitcher away. Because I definitely think that you could use some pitching, especially in the bullpen. But that's just my opinion. Especially over a corner outfielder. You got Ward. You got Beavers. You got O'Neill. You got Blaze Alexander can play some outfielder. You got Jeremiah Jackson can play some outfield. You got Enrique Bradfield Jr. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, Vance Honeycutt is still in the organization. What do you need another outfielder for? I think you need pitching, but apparently you, Michael Elias, you do not think so. You think you need another outfielder. It's fine. It's okay. It is what it is. All right, let's get to the schedule, wrap this up, and get out of here. As I mentioned, there is a game coming up relatively soon. Hopefully I can get this video. I should be able to get this video out in time. I need to get off my butt and do this stuff a little faster. Today, Monday, starting a 3-game series with the Texas Rangers at Camden Yards. Today, Monday, game scheduled for 6:35. Tuesday, game scheduled for 6:35. Wednesday, game scheduled 12:35. Okay. However, and then off day Thursday. So while that will do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report, please stay tuned for Thursday, and I will discuss the series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Texas Rangers. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.